brand new mold alert. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well and you're having a lovely day. I have got some brand new to the market, brand new silicone molds to show you here from Jadey's Art. Some of you will have heard of her already. She's working with Wendy at Toonpish Crafts. These are stunning embossed silicone molds. I've got some coasters and I've got some trays, and they're so different. They're embossed, but they're embossed with a lot of matte textured detail. So some parts are shiny, some parts are matte. They are ideal for epoxy resin and Jesmonite and your eco pores. I'm going to be using a Jesmonite AC100 in this video. I've missed it, but I am back using the Jesmonite. This is what the tray looks like. The trays match the coasters and they are just beautiful. Very magical, very mandala, but Jadey's Art has got so many other molds, so I'm going to leave her details in the description box below for you guys to go over and check out what else she does. But here you can see she sent me the matching coaster and the matching tray. Now, like I said, I'm using Jesmonite AC100 and I'm going to be using colours by Homeware Design Co. You all know they are now my go-to colours. I don't want to use anything else. And St. Patrick's Day, we're using Jungle, Willow, Envy, Emerald and Avo. Why do I want to say Avo in an Australian accent? I don't know. You tell me why in the comment section down below. So I've got my pots ready and I'm going to be using a actual paintbrush. So I showed you there a silicone tool. I swapped it out for a paintbrush. I figured I'd get a better design. Now, why am I using so many different greens? Well, like I said, this is St. Patrick's Day themed, but also I'm going for an ombre effect. Now, if you are new to my channel, if you're new to Jesmonite, if you've never heard of Jesmonite, or if you've been trying it a long while, you'll know that ombre is not easy with Jesmonite. Jesmonite usually stays where you put it, and it's not so easy to blend, but I'm going to use a technique today, and I hoped it would actually help me get the blend that I was looking for in these mandala effect inlays. Now, oh my gosh, I say inlays, I mean silicone molds with inlays in them, if that makes any sense. My theory was if I start in the center with a little blob and then I just go in circles around each and every one, the colorway didn't matter, I wasn't necessarily keeping to a system. I'm using a paintbrush to smush down the Jesmonite. Not only is this helping the Jesmonite get down into the little nooks and crannies of the inlay design, but I was truly hoping it would give me a beautiful ombre. It would mix the two Jesmonite colours together when they meet, and that was my theory, that was my plan. So I carried on with this technique throughout the three coasters, just putting a blob in the middle, running another colour around it, and again, and I started leaving gaps, thinking, if I leave a gap, this will actually allow for more of a blend and it won't just be those harsh lines. What I didn't want were harsh lines. I didn't want a striped pattern. I wanted a true ombre of all of these beautiful greens and bluey greens to be all mixed together. And at this point I thought, wow, I'm just going to have one whole colour on this coaster. At the end of it, I basically give them a really good shimmy, shake and a tap to get all of the air bubbles out. And you'll see that I didn't fill them right to the top, but I do go back and fill them up afterwards with leftover Jesmonite, and then I have to make a little bit more, and that's fine. So this is coaster number 3. This one is super detailed with these beautiful flower petal edges. So again, I'm using my paintbrush to just squish it down in there and try to blend the two colours together. I'm only using 3 colours on this last one because honestly, making up 5 pots was a lot. This is where Lazy Claire comes out to play. But yeah, another big shimmy and a shake, and I had that much Jesmonite left over. I decided to actually go ahead and use one of the trays as well. I decided to create the tray that matched the petal edge coaster because oh my gosh, the detail in the edges, so beautiful. Again, grabbing my paintbrush, smushing it in, squishing it round in the hope that I can create this ombre. Now do bear in mind that in between each and every design I was going out to the bathroom in my big bucket of water, washing out my paintbrush, washing out my pots. I was trying to keep on top of, you know, making sure that nothing set hard and that I didn't lose my paintbrush. At the end of all the shimmying and the shaking, I just went ahead and filled them up. Now, again, the back doesn't really matter, but I did want the backs to be a little bit pretty, so I just made up this really pale green marble Jesmonite and just poured them into the backs and gave them such a shimmy and a shake and a whack and a tap and all of those words. You can really go to town on these. The reason being, I want that Jesmonite blended, so the more I tap, I was thinking, surely the more I tap, the more blended they will be, the more ombre my designs will turn out. Of course, this one here had already set in the bottom. This is when you do have to be careful. So just forwards and backwards shimmying. You do not want to lift that mould at this point. I did have leftovers and I poured way too much, so I scraped it out onto my silicone mat, you can see here, and 30 minutes later that's just going to give me a little bit of Jesmonite terrazzo to play around with, and of course I will store that in a separate pot. But we're not here for that. I'm just showing you what I did because I had way too much Jesmonite and I over poured. This is demold, and sadly my blending technique didn't quite work. I mean, I really thought that this would do the job. I thought with that paintbrush and all of that smushing and all of the squidging and getting it all down in there, that I would be able to create a beautiful ombre blend between the colours. But honestly, it didn't turn out. However, I already had a plan in mind. I already knew how I was going to finish these, and I knew that even though I've got these harsh lines between the colours, that we would be able to disguise it in a way. In the method that I'm planning, we're going to be able to disguise it and kind of minimise the impact of those harsh lines. I would say that this one here, the two outer colours blended okay because they were similar, but that central one is just a big blob. As for the tray, similar again, they just didn't really blend. There's a little bit of blending in there. Granted, the lines aren't as harsh as they could be, but still not what I wanted. However, we're going to elevate these right up and bring them in to the St. Patrick's Day themed. We all know it's green, white and gold is the colour of the flag, so we are going in with the gold to bring these up a notch and to basically harshen the lines between those colours. And trust me, it really does. Now sometimes, especially with epoxy resin, if you get something you don't like, you all know I always say slap a tattoo on it, disguise it. If you've got a product you don't like, if you've got Jesmonite that has turned out and you're not really keen on it, grab some temporary tattoos, slap it on, or alternatively stamp it. Now we know we can stamp, but this one was for the gold pen. The gold pen brings it up to something so pretty, and now I think they are really gorgeous mandalas and so much more up my street. This is my gold pen from Deco. I think it's Deco, Art Deco, something like that. I'll link it below. Next up, we have the alcohol ink in glitter. Guys, Jadey's Art actually sells these alcohol inks with glitter inside, and they are so hard to get in the UK. I knew I had to try this because Jadey's Art actually does this a lot with these moulds. When she demolds her Jesmonite, she fills all of those spaces with glitter alcohol ink, but I have to say, she makes it look easy. She makes it look easy. Jadey, you make it look easy. It was not so easy for me. I did make such a mess, but I used a wet wipe and I just wiped over the surface of all of the raised areas. And once the alcohol evaporates, that is dry to the touch. So it worked really well. Next up, I figured I would try something else, brand new that I've never tried before. And that is stamping directly with the ink directly onto Jesmonite, just to see, would it work? How would it come out? And oh my goodness me. Now these coasters were really too small to highlight the raised pattern with a pen. I didn't trust myself. I knew I'd make a mess. And then I thought, wait, what if we try the gold ink pad? And look at this. Oh my gosh. Game changer. Absolute game changer for any of your molds that you have that have these embossed patterns on them. Any color, guys. Can you imagine the colors that are out there? Oh my gosh, the possibilities are endless, but I am loving this one. Hands down, my favorite out of the set in the results. With regards to the results, you know, the results, the colors on it are my absolute favorite. Again, I'm just going to carry on with the ink pad at this point because I've fallen in love with how easy this is to just stamp those raised embossed patterns in these mandala molds. Loving it, absolutely loving it. Game changer for me. And I know now, you know, when I have molds like this, I'm going to be able to use my ink pads should I want to highlight and emboss those areas. But absolutely gorgeous. And you can see the detail as well. Jadey's molds have got these beautiful textured matte areas, and it looks so cool in Jesmonite. It looks very, very rustic, and I love that about these. But yeah, I've really enjoyed using these. I love the fact that I've got matching coasters and trays. Here they are all three together that actually match somewhat. The colours are a little bit different, but they do match. Now the one where I use the alcohol ink with the glitter, again, it doesn't match these because I've gone in with that glitter alcohol ink, but loving them so much. I even went over the gold pen with the stamp because they are completely different golds. But here are all four together. The only one you didn't see in this video is the other tray that matches one of the coasters. I'm going to be using that in Monday's video where I'm going to be making an epoxy resin bowl. It is something I've wanted to do for ages. I've done bowls in the past on my channel, but it's been a couple of years. So yes, I'm going to use that other large tray mold that Jadey's Art sent me to make an epoxy resin bowl. Again, keeping in with the St. Patrick's Day theme. So we are going greens, we are going luxury and gorgeousness. And yes, keep your eyes peeled for that video on Monday. All of the details for these molds will be linked down below. So thank you so much to Jadey's Art for sending me these molds. They are so pretty. And again, possibilities are endless. You could use epoxy resin or Jesmonite or eco or whatever it is that you fancy. Any pouring medium that you're currently using, you can use with these molds. I really, really loved it. I hope you guys did too. And I hope you think the same as me, that, you know, those harsh lines, my failed ombre attempt has been made not so bad with the use of the highlight and the gold pen and the stamping. But yes, really, really loved it. Hope you did too. And I will see you all on Monday for Monday's video. Have an amazing weekend, everyone. Bye.